Hi, this is Mark Radcliffe, and this is a very special music club. The full hour devoted to a conversation with Kate Bush about the new album of old songs, newly redone, Director's Cut. A radical reworking of Rubber Band Girl from Director's Cut, which came out yesterday, and features Kate Bush's new takes on classic tracks from the Red Shoes and Sensual World albums released originally in 1993 and 1989. For the next hour, we'll play you a selection of songs from the new record, plus you can hear the chat I had with Kate in her farmhouse sitting room having tea and digestives under the watchful eye of her newly clipped Irish Terrier. So the obvious place to start was by asking her why she'd chosen to revisit these particular songs.
Well, I guess it's something I'd wanted to do for a few years, and it was just the idea of really taking tracks off both those albums and seeing if I could make them sound the way that I would now, if I were doing them now.
Does that mean you were in some way dissatisfied with the versions you already had?
I think I'm unhappy with everything I've done to some extent. I think...
Really? Serious? Not one track that you think, that's pretty much perfect?
Well, I don't know, because I don't listen to my old stuff a lot. I just hear kind of bits and pieces, and I think it's part of the human condition, isn't it? You do your best at the time and you try to make it interesting. You know, it must be the same for you, don't you?
Well, I don't know really, because you're doing a radio show every day. You have to accept there's certain imperfections, and it's kind of blissful that it moves on because there's another one coming tomorrow. So our turnaround is pretty quick, really. But I suppose most people agree with what you say. You know, that was the best they could do at the time.
Oh, yeah.
But it is sort of, once it's done, there's the album, it's done, move on. I mean, there has been a lot more remixing and stuff recently, hasn't there? But...
Yeah, I suppose so. And I mean, obviously, I do try and do my best at the time, or I wouldn't release them. So,
Yeah. What has changed? I mean, your voice has changed, hasn't it? I mean, it's a lower register.
Yes, it is, yeah. And I think what I wanted to try and do was take just a kind of bunch of songs and just strip them out and create much more space so that there's maybe a slightly more laid-back feeling to the songs.
Do you think there's a slightly more melancholic feeling to some of the songs this time? It's sort of like, as we get a bit older... I was never plagued by nostalgia when I was a younger man. But when we get to a certain age, and we're almost exactly the same age, that, you kind of look back as a matter of course, as a matter of the stage of life you're at, maybe being over halfway.
Oh, how depressing.
Or maybe not, because 1 in 4 of us is going to live till over 100. One of us in this room is going to be over 100. But, I mean, do you think the stage in life you're at sort of gives you a different perspective on those songs, maybe?
Well, I don't know, because I think... when I first started trying to re-sing them, it felt very strange. It was something I thought would be very easy to just kind of jump back into the tracks. But quite quickly, I realised that it wasn't easy, and a lot of time had gone into those vocals originally. But what I found quite early on was that in order to try and get back into the tracks, I brought the key down a little bit. Not with all of them, but with a lot of them. And by doing that, that allowed me to sing as me now, as opposed to this person from before who sung higher and was singing newly written songs.
Right, yeah. Well, let's talk a bit about, in that context, about Flower of the Mountain. And I wondered if Flower of the Mountain, which used to be the Sensual World, whether finally the permission coming through to use the James Joyce stuff, whether that triggered this whole process, really, because you finally had the words you always wanted to use all along.
Yeah, it was just fantastic. But actually the project was kind of something that was already on its way. Right. And I thought, wouldn't it be great to try to do that song with the original words, Let's Just Ask Again, They Can Only Say No, which I was actually expecting them to. Yeah. And to my complete delight and surprise, they said yes.
Do you know why? Why now?
Don't know. I don't really care, to be honest. I'm just incredibly grateful that they changed their mind. I mean, it was just... to be able to do what I'd originally wanted is a great feeling. And it always felt like a bit of a compromise to me to have to write my own lyrics, which, weren't nearly as interesting as the original idea. What
was it about Ulysses? I have to confess, and I'm a keen reader, I've tried and I haven't got through. But, I mean, so what was it about Ulysses that's so special to you and Molly Bloom? I mean, it was just something that obviously made a big impact on you. Did you read it when you were young?
Yes, I did. Yeah. And, I mean, the whole kind of style of writing is incredibly beautiful. I mean, obviously, it's a very sexy piece, but it's also got, it's just so... there's so many levels to it. It's you just kind of have to go with it, because it's almost like a chain of consciousness, isn't it?
Yeah. When you were originally conceiving the piece, presumably you were singing those words assuming that you would get permission, were you, when you were doing the early versions of it?
Well, yeah, I did. Whether I assumed, I don't know, because it just kind of happened, and I thought that it worked, as a piece. So then, obviously, the next stage was to ask permission. There's always the chance that they would say no, which, of course, they did.
They did, yeah. But when they said no, you were surprised and disappointed. But then you're no stranger to saying no to things, are you?
No, that's right. No. I mean, whether I was surprised that they said no, I don't know. But I was disappointed, yeah. But it's their prerogative, and they're being protective of what is a classic piece of literature. And I think it's great that they're so protective. I mean,
so that was the compromise. Were you going to re-record that even if you didn't get permission again? I mean,
I don't know.
Oh, you might have left that alone.
Yes, might have done. Yeah.
But you know, how does it sound to you now with the kind of words? Do you sort of sit back and listen and think, this is how it was always meant to be?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. I mean, it was just a wonderful feeling to be able to actually get permission after all that time. I'm just incredibly grateful that they said yes.
Yes, first I gave him a bit of seed cake out of my mouth, and it was leap year like now. Yes, 16 years ago, my God, after that long kiss, I nearly lost my breath. Yes, he said I was a flower of the mountains, so we are flowers on a woman's body. Yes. Stepping out of the page into the sensual world. Stepping out. And you brought her as a girl where I was a flower of the mountain. Yes, when I put the rose in my hair like the Andalusian girls used, or shall I wear a red? Yes. And how he kissed me under the Moorish wall, and I thought, well, as well him as another. Stepping out off the page into the sensual world. Stepping out off the page into the sensual world. And then I asked him with my eyes to ask again. Yes, and then he asked me would I, yes, to say yes, my mountain flower. And first I put my arms around him, yes, and drew him down to me, so he could feel my breasts. Oh, perfume, yes. And his heart was going like mad. And yes, I said yes, I will. Yes. Yes.
Let's talk a bit about the Red Shoes album, because that was torrid time for you in many ways, wasn't it? I mean, it was a time of great loss. I mean, you know, end of relationships and people who you knew had passed away, and particularly your mother.
Yes.
Dying at that time.
Yes.
So it must have been a difficult album to make at the time.
Yes, it was. Although I think they're all difficult. They're just difficult in different ways.
But this one was about sort of end of relationships. There was a sense of loss in this.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. I mean, I think the thing was that all the songs had been written before my mother got ill. So, you know, it wasn't that the songs were written, you know, from that sense of loss.
But I suppose the mood and everything that was happening to you couldn't help but infect and infuse the emotion going into that.
Yes, probably, yes.
Yeah, and I wondered whether then, now, with some distance on that, you know, this made perfect sense in a way, that you could sort of look at those songs with perhaps more clarity now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also true of the songs off Sensual World.
Right.
And I think with Red Shoes, one of the problems for me was that it was done at a time when digital equipment was state of the art.
Right.
So everyone felt this was what you had to use because it was so fantastic and flawless. And I think, you know, I don't really like the sound from digital. I'm a big fan of analogue tape. And the warmth and fullness that you get from that.
Right, yeah.
I mean, at the time, you know, I was pleased with it, but when I've heard odd tracks, I've thought, oh, you know, it does sound a bit edgy. And I suppose also with both albums, maybe there's elements of the production that either sound a bit dated or perhaps a bit cluttered here and there. So, you know, I wanted to just kind of take the songs and keep the best performances from the musicians, some of which are fantastic on those albums, and just, you know, kind of let the songs and the performances shine.
There's a phrase in Moments of Pleasure from, I think that is something a phrase that you remembered your mother saying, every old sock meets an old shoe.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it?
Yeah. So was that something that she said a lot when you were growing up?
No, I think she only ever said it once.
Oh, right.
But I thought it was such a great phrase, and when I played it to her, she thought it was hilarious. She couldn't stop laughing. She just...
What do we take from that then? That everything finds its way home eventually, or everything or everybody finds the place they're supposed to be in the world?
Well, yes, I think you take it however you want. That's kind of, you know, what poetry and all pieces of art, even if it's just a little phrase like that, are meant to do, aren't they? But I suppose I'd always taken it as everyone finds the person they're meant to be with eventually.
Yeah. What about the film, The Red Shoes? Was that a sort of real girlhood love of yours? Because people associate you with dancing, and it is one of the great dance films, isn't it? One of the classics. Yes,
it is. Well, it's a fantastic film, full stop.
Yeah.
Again, I wouldn't really say it was a sort of film that I'd seen in my childhood, but I am a huge fan of the Powell Pressburger films. They're, you know, incredibly imaginative and so crafted.
Weren't you talking to Michael Powell, the director, about collaborating at one point around this period?
Yes, I was. I was lucky enough to get to meet him, and he was just a sweetheart. He was, he was so sweet and charming.
Yeah, what sort of old school gentility?
Yes,
sort of,
yes, a real gentleman.
Yeah. What were you going to do? Did you ever get as far as talking about what you might do, or was it just a vague idea that you might collaborate?
Yeah, it was. I mean, I just would have loved to have worked with him. I was such a big fan of his work, and you know, he was just such an extraordinary talent.
Just the relationship between you and Dan. So I read an interview recently with a quote from Lindsay Kemp, who was talking about you, and he said that when he first knew you and you went to study with him, was it at Covent Garden? You went to some little some sessions at Covent Garden that Lindsay Kemp ran, and he said he remembered you as being very quiet and sewing on a lot of sequins, doing some costume work for him.
I think Lindsay has a wonderful imagination.
So he didn't do any of that?
No, I don't remember ever sewing a single sequin on. I think I made some ears, some animal ears once, but I was never really a seamstress.
Right, okay. Were you quiet? You know, were you sort of very studious in ballet class or dance class? Or?
I don't know about studious, but I never really studied ballet. But I was lucky enough to get the chance to go to classes that Lindsay was giving.
Right.
And it was incredibly... well, there's nothing like it to compare, really.
Right.
I mean, I think he's one of the original artists. And has been such a huge inspiration for so many people.
David Bowie.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he definitely gave me my sense of theatre.
Right. Yeah.
Because, you know, he's called a mime artist, but really he's not classical mime. He's much more a kind of broad spectrum theatre. You know, it's extraordinary stuff.
There was a film around this time, wasn't it? Was it called The Line, The Cross and the Curve? Was it
Yes.
with Miranda Richardson?
Yes.
So you did make a film.
Yes, I did. It was only a short film.
Yeah.
And Miranda was in it, and so was Lindsay.
Yeah.
And I had a fantastic time and had a great crew. I just think in a way it's a shame, because I think if I'd had more time to put it together, it could have actually been more of a film rather than a kind of musical.
Yeah.
And I was a bit disappointed that I didn't have enough prep time to really make it something that it could have been, especially having such great people involved in it, such as Miranda and Lindsay.
Yeah. Let's have a listen to the new version of Moments of Pleasure. Are there any bits of the old one on here? Is it an entire re-recording?
Yeah, and it's completely re-recorded.
Yeah, right. And I mean, you know, I listened to this and we were talking about the sense of loss, and the people were going, I've sort of find this quite sort of heartbreaking to listen to. But, I mean, do you, or am I reading too much into it? Is it too literal, perhaps, to take that meaning from it?
Well, I hope it's not heartbreaking. I think hopefully it's meant to be a celebration of life.
Yeah. OK. Let's go to New York in the snow.
Some moments that I've had, some moments of pleasure, I think about us lying on a beach somewhere. I think about us diving off a rock into another moment. The case of George the Wipe. Oh God, I can't stop laughing. This sense of humor of mine, it isn't funny at all. But we sit up all night talking about it. On a balcony in New York, it's just started to snow. He meets us at the lift, like Douglas Fairbanks, waving his walking stick. But he isn't well at all. The buildings of New York look just like mountains in the snow. saying every old sock meets an old shoe.
This is Mark Radcliffe's Music Club on Radio 2 and a special edition featuring an extended interview with Kate Bush. Some songs of yours, and you know people hold very close to their hearts, almost as like sacred things, and one of those is This Woman's Work, which is a very special song. And I suppose some people would, when they heard that you were revisiting this and doing it again maybe, had some feelings of trepidation. Did you?
No, I didn't. No, I was looking forward to just trying to do something different with it, really.
Yeah. And you have said, I think, that if people don't like it, the old version's still there. It's not like it's been deleted from memory, is it?
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So, was it difficult to get back into the place you were, or to start singing this? Was it hard? I hate using the phrase "get in the zone," but when do you have to build yourself up to revisiting something? I mean, you know, this is a big song for your fans, your followers.
I don't know if I do really. I think with each of the songs, it was more just trying to find the right place to sing from, which is the same with any song. It's, trying to find a certain character, I suppose. It's not always necessarily something that is that kind of structured, but there's a sense of a certain persona with each song. And I think really, it's like we said earlier, what really helped me was taking the songs down in pitch just that little bit. Just helped me to get in there and sing them as I would now.
And you don't regard, even your most famous songs as kind of untouchable, because you'd already previously re-recorded the vocal to Wuthering Heights, hadn't you?
Yes. I mean, it was just something I wanted to do for me, really. And I think of it as a new album. Although the songs had already been written, to me it's a new album and it feels new. And although the songs, maybe go back a long time and some of the performances are from a long time ago, a lot of the process was exactly like making a new record.
Right. And what about the emotion of this? I mean, I think I called Moments of Pleasure heartbreaking, and you weren't so sure that was a good thing. It's more of a celebration. I mean, this, and we've talked a little bit about loss, and we've talked a little bit about getting older and maybe looking back and everything. I mean, but the sense of this, all the things I should have done that I never did, all the things I should have said that I never said. I mean, there's a wistfulness in that. Surely you can't deny that.
Yeah, I don't know about wistfulness. I think it's more to do with a sense of guilt, really.
Yeah. Did you have guilt when you were writing this about things you should have said to someone?
No.
Right, so it was a character. You were playing a character who was imagining these feelings.
Yeah, no, very much so, because in fact it was originally a song that was asked to be written for a film by John Hughes.
Yeah.
So it was...
Yeah, was this the one with Kevin Bacon? And
that's right.
Yeah. What was the title? I can't remember.
She's Having a Baby.
Yeah, right, okay.
So it was very much within the context of that kind of atmosphere that I was writing that song.
Right, OK. But now you come back to it and sing all the things I should have said. Do you kind of come from a different place? I mean, do you think about things that you should have done? And has it become more personal, even if it wasn't at the time?
No, I don't think it has, really. I think in a way it's more a sort of, you know, obviously you try to sort of get into the emotional take of the song, but it's, you know, I think a lot of times people presume there's an autobiographical thread that's running through it, and no, I don't think so.
Do you think people? You see, I mean,
I was feeling very happy.
Yeah, well, that's good, isn't it? I mean, people read something into everything you do, don't they? I was reading up about this song, and there was a kind of a forum about, like, you know, the video of this woman's work, and saying, you know, at the end of it, she closes the lid of the piano. What could it mean? You know, is that symbolising death, closure? You know, why did he close the piano at the end of the video?
Oh, I don't know.
But do you think it's funny that people read so much into everything? Do you find that amusing or annoying or?
I don't think I'm aware of it a lot of the time, unless people say no. I mean, you know, I think it's great if people get anything from the work that I do. I mean, I guess that's what every artist hopes for, isn't it? You know, you do your best so that it's something that you feel is interesting, and then you release it, and then, you know, you really hope that people will like it. And if they like it and it means something or makes them think about something, then that's just fantastic.
Pray God you can cope. I stand outside this woman's work, this woman's world. Oh, it's hard on the man. Now his part is over. Now starts the craft of the father. I should be crying, but I just can't let it show. Should be hoping, but I can't stop thinking of all the things I should have done, but I never did. All the things I should have said that I never said. Make it go away. Give me these moments back. Give them back to me. Give me that little kiss. Give me your hand.
Let's talk a bit about deeper understanding, and in particular, you and technology. You're sort of very keen on your life on the computer. I read an interview at the weekend, I think, and it was you said you mornings and evenings, computer time.
Oh, don't believe anything.
No, but I mean, you know, do you sit on there, kind of buzzing around, doing different things?
Well, I didn't actually sit on it.
Sit there. Right, yeah.
Yeah, no, I do. I mean, I think, doesn't everybody? It's how we all sort of conduct most of our business now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I tend to do stuff in the mornings and evenings so that I've got the day free in the studio to work without having the continual interruption of emails and whatever.
Presumably, I can't imagine you doing Facebook or tweeting or anything. I mean, do you have a relationship with social networking at all?
No, it's not really anything that appeals to me.
Me neither. No. What do you make of the whole phenomenon? It's sort of like, because you know, someone who's known for kind of guarding their private life and everything, that tweeting in a way would seem to be completely the opposite of that. It was like revealing every little fact about your life, you know, no matter how banal, really.
I think if it's what people want to do, then why not? And I suppose I was of a generation where, you know, it kind of doesn't really mean very much to me. I'd rather spend my time doing other stuff.
Yeah. And, you know, you do guard your private life, or you just don't choose to kind of advertise it. And yet, you know, your son, who featured on the last record, we were talking about him, there was a picture of you and him swimming on the sleeve, and there was the song about Bertie on Ariel. Here, apparently, although I didn't realise it at first, in Deeper Understanding, he's singing.
Yeah.
He's the sort of vocoder chorus bit.
Yes, he's playing the part of the computer program, that's the idea.
Yeah.
And he has a lovely voice, but unfortunately we completely ruined it by computerising it. But I thought it somehow made it more poignant for it to be the voice of a child.
Yeah.
And when I originally recorded the track, there was no kind of technology you could use to really get a decent sounding computerised voice apart from a vocoder. Yeah. So back then what I did was bank up lots of backing vocals and a vocoder, so there was more of a sense of a sort of group entity, which wasn't really what I wanted. I wanted to have a single voice, so it was the sense of this being that was coming out of the computer program. So again, that was a nice thing to be able to just kind of redo and make it more this kind of solo benevolent spirit that was coming through the computer. I
mean, does he know your records, or do you have to say, listen, I've got this idea, listen to this is the song, to make him learn it, or does he know your stuff?
Yeah, he does, yeah. And thank God he likes it. It'd be awful if he didn't, wouldn't it?
Yeah. You and technology, I mean, you've had quite a strong relationship with technology. I mean, you're one of the first people to use fairlights and things like that. You've always been into that sort of stuff then, really. It's always fascinated you. At a very early age, you must have thought the studio was your natural home and every gadget was to be investigated.
I think that was something that by the third album was becoming so, because I was getting a chance to be much more involved in the whole production process, and the whole idea of experimenting and trying new sounds was very exciting.
Do you live a high-tech life? I mean, we're here in your home and it doesn't appear to be a sort of high-tech, computerised home. I mean, but, you know, are you a gadget freak? Do you have an iPod? Do you have an iPad? Do you like those things?
No, I don't have an iPod, and I like the combination of both, really, you know, old and new. And I think the studio is a real epitome of that, because, you know, we have analogue tape machines and some quite old valve outboard equipment, but we also work with Pro Tools, and ideally, you know, I'm trying to get the best of both worlds, really, where, you know, I think you cannot beat, for me, the sound of analogue tape. You know, it has this wonderful sort of warmth and natural tape compression that you can get, but also with Pro Tools, there's all kinds of things that you can do that would be really difficult on analogue. And so again, when making this album, it was a wonderful combination.
Oh, right, interesting, yeah. When you released this song, originally Deeper Understanding, the idea that someone could become detached from their family and normal life because they were so locked onto the computer seems sort of like a fantasy in a way, and yet it's turned out to be prescient, hasn't it, really?
Yeah.
You know, you were kind of ahead of the game there, in a way, it's turned out.
Well, it's very nice of you to say so. I mean, I think it is more relevant now, in a way. When I first wrote it, I was spending a lot of time with computers in the studio environment. And I think even then there was this sense that computers would have to become a much bigger part of our lives. It's obvious, really. And so, of course, they have.
As the people here grow colder, I turn to my computer and spend my evenings with it like a friend. I was loading a new program. I had ordered from a magazine. I am lonely, I am lost. This voice console is a must. I press execute. Well, I've never known such pleasure. Nothing else seemed to matter. I neglected my bodily needs. I did not eat, I did not sleep. The intensity increasing till my family found me and intervened. But I was lonely, I was lost. Oh, so lost without my little black box. I pick up the phone and press execute. I turn to my computer like a friend. Hello? Hello?
When you were doing this, how long did it take? Was it sort of like 3.5 years, or has it been going on for a very long time in fits and starts?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose in actual time it's probably something like 18 months,
Right.
maybe 2 years.
And when you were doing it, did you ever think, am I doing the right thing, or should I be doing more new stuff? When we were here talking about Ariel, and it was a double album, there's a lot of work on that, there's a lot of stuff on there. And I said to you, have you got anything left, anything in the cupboard to start a new album? And you said no. So is there stuff now?
What, in the cupboard?
Well, yeah, with this amount of time that's passed and you've been doing this record, have you got the bones of a new record, or have you got songs?
Yes,
or...
yes, I have. Yeah, I'm working on a new record. Yeah.
I mean, we're not asking you when it might be, but I mean, have you got 2 songs? Have you got 8 songs? Are they recorded in demo form? Are some of them finished? Where are you up to?
Yeah, it's all kind of bits and pieces, really.
Right.
All in different stages of work.
Yeah.
There's always ideas and things kind of, buzzing around, but it's whether they actually end up materialising into a song. It's all quite an elusive process, isn't it? Really?
Well, I suppose so. I mean, like with something like that phrase we talked about your mother, every old sock meets an old shoe. Do you sometimes hear phrases and write them down and think, it's a thought that might develop into something?
I try to sort of keep them in my head.
Do you?
And I always hope that if they're interesting enough, they'll kind of stay in there and not just go out again.
Is your memory good? My memory is terrible. if I go to the shop for 4 things, unless I write it down, I'll come back, not without 1 now, but without 2, or even possibly 3. But your memory's good, is it? All these things are stored there.
Well, that's because you're a bloke.
Is it? Are we different, do you think?
When you go shopping, yeah.
Do you not need a list when you go shopping? You know what you want?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I make lists, yeah.
Yeah. Do you even consider the speed at which you work? I mean, you're in a nice position. You can kind of take it at your own speed. Do you consider yourself to be, a slow worker? Is it a torturous process, or it just takes as long as it takes and that's fine? Does it ever bother you?
Yeah, it's very frustrating.
Is it?
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to be able to work quicker. It would be nice.
Is it the writing that takes the longest? I mean, once you start recording, even though it's experimentation, you're doing lots of different things. It's a kind of you're underway. Then you've got the core material.
Well, I think the writing process is probably the quickest bit, really.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. I suppose also the problem is you're trying to write an album's worth of material. So that can be quite difficult as well. I mean, that was one of the things about Ariel that was difficult, was because one of the discs was conceptual. That was really quite a different process of working from if it was just individual songs.
Yeah. Is the next record likely to be individual songs, or is there a conceptual arc to it, do you think? Or do you not know yet?
No, I don't know yet. No.
Another thing that keeps cropping up every time you make a record is that you always say, "Oh yeah, I'd like to tour again," and everybody says, "Oh great, she's good." You always float this tantalising possibility.
No, I don't. I haven't actually said, "Oh, I'd like to tour again."
Well, you said, "I'd like to play some concerts before I get too ancient," I think is what you said. That's what you said last time.
Yes, but it's normally prompted by a question of, would you like to tour again?
Yeah.
It's been a long time since you toured.
But you could say, not really. You do kind of float the possibility.
OK, well, not really.
So is that it?
Well, I mean, I did enjoy it. I think, people always presume that I didn't enjoy the tour, but, it's such a long time ago now. And I suppose I'm extremely flattered that people are interested, really. I mean, I'm extremely flattered that people are still interested to hear what I'm doing musically. But I haven't got any plans to do any live shows whatsoever. And, I'm very much engrossed in trying to make this new record.
Right, OK. Well, that's pretty much what I suspected was the truth of it anyway. Yeah. But life's good. You're happy with this,
Yeah, I am. I am pleased with this. And I think that's important, because if when you release the record, it doesn't go well or people don't like it, in a way, that's not that important. I mean, obviously I would love people to like it, but in a way the most important thing is that process is something that I feel I've kind of completed, and I feel that I've achieved what I set out to do, which was to take that group of songs and put a lot of more space into them and make them sound like new songs on a new record. So I feel I've achieved that, and so yeah, I mean, I am pleased with it.
O thou who givest sustenance to the universe, from whom all things proceed, to whom all things return, unveil to us the face of the true spiritual sun, hidden by a disk of golden light, that we may know the truth and do our whole duty as we journey to thy sacred feet.
You must protect yourself. You must protect your
That's Lily from Director's Cut, originally from the Red Shoes. OK, that's it. Thanks for having us round at your place, Kate. Hope to be back to talk about a new record before too long. And you can hear this interview again every afternoon on our 6 Music show between 1 and 4 in the afternoon next week. And in fact, there are extra bits we didn't have time for here. So if you like, it's a Director's Cut talking about Director's Cut.